Hello, hello, hello.
What's
How
going
y'all
on?
doing today? Welcome, welcome, welcome to Melanated N Business. It is me, just Joci,
And TaWanda with the T.
and our special invited guest for the day, Mr. Gilberto Herrera.
What's going on? What's going on, my friend?
How are
Long
you
time.
today?
It's good. It's going well. It's going well. Long day, but that's every day, right?
Right. Hey, the worst thing is for it to be a short day, because if a short day comes,
Right,
it's the wrong day.
So,
So I appreciate all my long days.
right. Glad to be here with y'all.
Thank you for being here, being a guest on this wonderful, wonderful Thursday. So, TaWanda with the T, go on get us in this thing.
Happy Thursday, kings and queens. We are once again celebrating Women's History Month throughout March. This week, we are celebrating Demetrius D. Clemens. Ms. Clemens is Georgia's District 2 Commissioner on Henry County Board of Commissioners. D is the first African-American woman elected to serve on the Henry County Board of Commissioners and is committed to working for the citizens and businesses to make Henry County a prosperous community. Demetrius has been working to provide public service to families in Georgia for more than a decade because she believes in giving back to her community. D. Clemens is the president of DCL Solutions Group, a woman-owned company that provides community outreach, training, business development services, and products. Additionally, she is a managing partner of Broadway Performing Arts Studio. She is the founder of She Seems, a nonprofit organization providing opportunities and programs benefiting girls. D is an active board member and committee chair for Georgia's Win List and a board member of the Georgia Minority Supplier Development Council. She is also a member of the National Association of 100 Black Women, Spelman College Alumni Association, Georgia Women Business Council, Women Influencing Public Policy, and the Amateur Ladies Golf Association. Dee has been recognized for her community service and activism, and on behalf of the Henry County, and for her efforts to highlight equal economic opportunities and diversity through local policymaking, while putting into practice those ideas through her many endeavors, including operating an all-girls performing arts school, a janitorial supply company, and a small business incubator on Eagles Landing called the Workspace Boutique. This incubator benefits, I'm sorry, I'm so out of it right now. This incubator benefits small, local, I have a brain fart right now. It's just horrible. It benefits small, local, women-owned, veteran-owned businesses. Queen Demetrius D. Clemens, we salute you and celebrate you. Happy Women's History Month.
Round of applause, round of applause.
Put my comments up.
Are you talking? Because I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, no, I'm done. I'm done.
Are you done? Are you finished?
Oh, wait. You know, one more thing. The tax day has been pushed back to May 15th, so you don't have to have it in by April 15th. Just give you a little time.
Good job for me, because I'll be last minute. I do. I'll be last minute with that thing. I got to do better. I really do. So, congratulations to our woman of the hour. Thank you. She had a long list of things, like especially that one. It's interesting that you mentioned the 100 Black women, because that was interesting. I tell you off the show, we got some other stuff to talk about. But let's get into our guest for the hour. Tell the people who you are, where you from.
So my name is Gilberto Herrera, And as Joci said it in Spanish, it's Gilberto Herrera. I'm a native of the country, Panama. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I reside in Birmingham, Alabama. And my mission is simple. Everyone is a master at something, whether they know it or not. I just want to help you take your mastery to the masses so that you can achieve the level of financial and time freedom that you deserve. I do that in many ways. I'm the CEO of a financial services firm. I'm a part owner in several businesses. I'm a real estate investor, but more importantly, I serve the community in many ways. It's interesting that she's a part of the 100 Black women because I'm actually a part of the 100 Black men here in Birmingham. I also sit on the board of the A.T. Gaston Boys and Girls Club, the Hispanic Interest Coalition of Alabama. I'm an urban leaguer to the core, so I'm the director of workforce and entrepreneurship at the Birmingham Urban League. So, as Joci said, I'm very in tune with our people. My mission is people, and if I can propel someone to get to where they want to get to, that's how I get my satisfaction.
Good job. We appreciate you. We appreciate, just having you here and all that you do. We're going to get more into all that you do. I'm trying to multitask. Y'all know how I do. Y'all know I'm trying to be the producer of the show and the co-host. And then I posted a video to my page, and the video has definitely disappeared.
That's all right. We'll get it back.
We'll get it back. We'll figure it out. We'll make something shake. In the meantime, in between time. So how did you start on your path to greatness?
Man, listen. So growing up in Brooklyn, New York, I did a TED Talk. I share a little of my story on my TED Talk. Growing up in Brooklyn, New York, raised by my aunt and my grandmother, not really a whole lot of male influence around. So the male influences that inspired me as a kid were gang members, drug dealers, the usual. So I started going down that route. Got in a lot of trouble in New York. My family moved me down south, which was, the best thing that they did for my life. I'm thankful for that. I hated that decision at the time. Of course, I'm a teenager. I'm in Brooklyn. I get to move around and do what I want to do. Then you move me to Alabama, where I got to depend on someone at the time to get me where I want to get to. But it really gave me an opportunity to sit down and really think about what it is that I wanted to do. I got a chance to focus. When I got out of high school, I was fortunate enough to meet a couple business owners that owned a company. They owned a gutter company and they owned an alarm company. So I started working with them on their alarm company. And, living in inner city Birmingham is one thing, but these people exposed me to people that were living in mansions and gated communities and had lakes behind their house, you know what I mean? And I was going in and out of those. So that just started exposing me to a different world. Fast forward, it wasn't until I started my career in sales. If I would encourage anyone to learn a skill, it would be how to sell, because that skill to this day pays me more than any other skill that I have. If it wasn't for the fact that I mastered how to sell and negotiate and close deals, I wouldn't be where I am today. Did sales for banks, retail, Fortune 500 companies, negotiated deals, anything from a $50,000 deal to, a $3 to $5 million deal. I was able to do that. And I just took those skills and started transferring them into entrepreneurship, because it's all the same thing. If you don't know how to go out and get it, you're never going to be successful. Mark Cuban says sales cures all. So started my first true business endeavor was real estate. Once I started building up a real estate portfolio and I started building passive income, then I started venturing off into, other things. Now, I'm in the financial services space. I got a team of about 50 nationwide. In addition to that, now I'm investing in other businesses, silent investing in other businesses. So you talk about how my reach can be in many places. It's because I don't necessarily have to be active anymore.
Because now you've been able to resource, some of those things out. And then you have those partnerships, right? Those Absolutely. Connections that you built along the way. Explain why that's so important, to build is those partnerships with other entrepreneurs and community programs and just companies, in your vicinity.
Well, so I'm gonna keep it as simple as possible. We all have contacts, right? And we want to turn them into some sort of a contract. The only thing that separates those two words is the letter R. So you can't turn a contact to a contract without the letter R, right?
Right.
The R stands for relationships. So we got to go out and start building relationships. When I wanted to switch gears and do the things that I do, I became a part of the Birmingham Urban League Young Professionals. So I started gathering a network of young professionals that were doing the things that I wanted to do. That opened up many doors for me. And now you see the type of boards that I sit on and the type of person that I've developed to be. If it wasn't for the exposure and the type of relationships that I've built over the years, I wouldn't be where I am today. Because a lot of the times, as you know, a lot of things happen because you got a relationship with someone. It's not necessarily because you got the best product or the best service. We deal with who we know, like, and trust. So we have to be likable. We have to be known. And we have to start building trust in the marketplace, right? Oftentimes it's not who knows you, it's who remembers you when they need what you have to offer. And you just got to make sure they remember you. And it starts with building that relationship.
Was it hard to build those relationships? You coming in, you young, not many people know you. Not, you know what I'm saying? How was that building? How did you do that?
I wouldn't say it can be hard if you don't look at it in a strategic manner, right? So when you come in, first and foremost, we have 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth. So if you start paying attention to where you can best add value, it shouldn't be hard. Because, like, for instance, when I came into the Urban League, I didn't know anyone, but I made it a point to show up to all the events. I made it a point where if there was a need for, community service or anything, I filled that void. And eventually, because I started showing up frequently and consistently, the president at the time, who was now the CEO of the Urban League, which is like a brother to me, William Barnes, he said, hey, why don't you look at being in leadership? Never thought about being in leadership anywhere prior to that. But he stretched me. I became the community service chair, and that gave me a sense of power and leadership, and it showed me how to run things. And, I just took those skills and transferred them into other places.
So,
go ahead.
Well, my question is referencing you getting started. You said you started out in real estate, and that was doing investments.
Correct. I've never been a realtor, only invest. So I started out, there's a way to start out in real estate with no money, and it's called wholesaling. So if you drive around your neighborhoods and you see those "We Buy Houses" signs everywhere, those are more than likely wholesalers. So what they do is they find deals for investors. They're not necessarily the investor in the deal. They'll go out and negotiate the deal, take it to an investor, and the investor pays for everything. And because you brought him a deal, he pays you a fee. It's called an assignment fee. I started out that way. Then once I started that way, I started building, capital to go out and start buying my own. But that's really how, that was definitely tough because it's super competitive. Everyone, when they start out, they're on fire. So every 3 to 6 months, you have a new wave of people coming into it. And it's one of those things where if you're not finding deals consistently, you can easily quit. Now, it was tough because there was months, when I'm like, hey, I only got X amount of dollars to my name. What am I going to do? But, I figured out a way to struggle through it. And then those deals started coming. And more importantly, it goes back to the relationships. When I would put a house under contract, I would be able to, assign it to an investor quicker because I started building more relationships, and I knew exactly what they were looking for at the time. So it got to the point where, I can get a house gone in a month, 15 to 30 days. We at the closing table, and these investors are paying cash, So you do that 2 or 3 times a month, you're good to go. But in the beginning, it was tough, because you go the first month or so, you're going through the growing pains, just like anything. You're learning through it. You know, you might blow a deal because you don't know exactly what to say or how to negotiate it properly. You know, you might not have the confidence that somebody else might have coming in. Somebody might outbid you or offer something that you didn't offer on the front end, and you don't got a chance to renegotiate it. So, you know, it was definitely a learning curve. I almost gave up a couple times, but you know, I'm thankful that I didn't, and you know, that's what took me to another level.
Did you have a mentor or someone that was helping you out when you got started? Like, how did you find your investors?
I paid someone to teach me the game. I paid someone. His name is Brian Tripp. I paid him because he was the top guy in the market. So I made sure that I paid him exactly what he asked me for at the time, and he just showed me his way. You know, and he was another one that help those deals become easier because they were deals that if I didn't have his assistance, they wouldn't have gone through. You know, especially those deals with a lot of red tape that needed attorneys to look at, you know, what was going on. You know, he knew the questions to ask at times when I didn't even know what was going on. So without that, I don't think I would have gotten far. You know, so it was definitely an investment that you know, that to this day I'm glad that I made. And he's like a brother to me, and you know, he includes me in so many other things outside of real estate now, and gives me access to so many things. You know, so it's been worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you been doing the real estate?
Since 2017.
It's 2017. So you're not really. That's really not a long time.
Nah.
4 years.
Yeah.
Coming up on 4 years, should I say?
Mm-hmm.
So of those 4 years, what was the longest? Was it like the first year? Was it like
definitely the first
3 years, and then it just kind of took off?
The first like 6 months.
Okay.
Because remember, I was doing it full time, so it wasn't a part-time thing. So you know, you're constantly trying. You got to find the deals, right? You got to first and foremost, you got to find the deals. You got to find out who's the owner on those deals. You got to go meet with them. Then you got to make sure that all the stars line up properly. And you know, you when you look at the title, there are no lien holders outside of that person. You know that it's so many different factors. Sometimes you might think all the stars will line up, and then you start pulling a title search, and you find out this person owes this person, and they're the first lien holder. So you got to make sure that they're taken care of before you can even move forward. So that cuts into your profit. You know, so it's a lot of variables. But yeah, those first 6 months were extremely hard because after that, once I built up a pipeline, and I had a system in place, you know, we can basically just figure out based on the numbers how many leads we need to have a month to be able to have a certain amount of success. And that's in any business. You know, if you know your numbers and you can track that, and you can track to those numbers, you'll have the success you want. But most of us don't do that. We just shoot from the hip a lot of times.
So your parent company,
Mm-hmm.
Gilberto Herrera Enterprises,
Correct.
started as the real estate company?
Correct. So when I started the real estate company, it was HL Holdings. I had a partner at the time. He and I went separate ways, and I just merged everything to my parent company.
So I like that you have a parent company, because a lot of people don't understand the importance of having a parent company, and then having that umbrella for all of your other businesses, the benefits of that, just structure wise, and as well as finances. Can you get into, why that's so important to have, that create that umbrella for your business versus having this one and then this one and this one and this one?
Well, if you can go to a financial institution and you show them in paper, hey, this is my parent company, this is the plan, these are, the things that I have in place to bring in extra revenue under this one umbrella company, and they see that it's an enterprise. See, a lot of times we shoot ourselves in the foot just by how we name our companies too. If you got a holding company or a financial company or something like that, and you try to go to a bank, it's like you're competing with them. But when they see an enterprise or something along the lines of that, they're looking, oh, this person really has a big vision, So, and then also, especially in real estate, let's say someone sues me under the real estate umbrella, right? I don't want them to have access to everything I have. So I make it a little harder for them to find out everything that I have. You know, and a lot of real, you know, and I'm gonna give y'all a trick. A lot of real estate investors that are really doing it on a big level, they only put so many properties in one LLC or whatever structure they have it in, because they don't want you to have access to everything else. So it protects you on a grander scale. It's not just about the money, but it's also about the protection, because you know what you get, you want to be able to protect and keep too.
So they have like five properties under one business, and then open a completely different company. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Think about it, Josh. If you got 100 properties and somebody sues you, do you want them to have access to the entire empire?
I do not.
Absolutely not.
Huh.
You know, so if Joci's Cakes gets sued, do you want them to have access to everything else that you have? No.
Right. Okay. Let me write that down.
And again, I'm not an attorney.
I didn't think about the fact of changing, you know, with so many different properties under different company names. I just felt like you would want all your companies, all your properties that you manage, your own, be it if it's directly or through a broker, under, you know, that one real estate umbrella. But that's a good nugget, because
and again, I'm not an attorney. So if you want to structure your business the right way, make sure you talk to an attorney. You know, make sure you speak with your accountant. And, you know, these are just things that work for me. I'm not giving you any advice, you know. And even when we start talking money, I'm not going to be giving you any advice. I'm going to be speaking hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
We got to put that out there.
Yes. Because they will come back and be like, inbox you, will be like, you said that one day.
Right.
Well, lady, I don't know you.
Right.
Okay, that's what's up.
Look at your president. Well, your old president, Donald Trump. He had like 300 and something businesses on his tax return. He make it as complicated as possible to get to him.
Yeah. Right. Because ain't nobody's really trying to follow that much paper.
Absolutely not.
That's just the reality. Like, I'm going to investigate, but I don't want to investigate this much paper. After a while, it's like, it's not really worth it. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, I ain't at his level, but I just know, you know, hey, you know, I know he knows what he's doing on paper.
Right. So your financial company, which is Granvier, is that how it's pronounced?
Yes.
Granvier Financial, which is the financial firm. You have what, 50 to 70 agents right now?
Mm-hmm.
What is that like?
So the reason it's called that is because Ver means see and grand means big. I want everybody to see a big vision of themselves. So that's why those two words came together. What is that like? I get the opportunity to empower others to be CEOs themselves. So, you know, I get to, you know, put other leaders on with minimal investment, and they get to, you know, spend time with me and learn everything I know that has made me successful throughout my years. And they get to apply that themselves so that they themselves could, you know, have their own entities in the long run as well, and put other people on and make a ton of money in the process.
So how did you expand that brand? Because I remember you said earlier that it wasn't just local, right?
When you put your mind to something, you know, you start, first and foremost, let me give you a little trick. When you either have time or you have money, right? And when you have money, you put it in a place where you buy time, right? So I have some stuff in place where all I got to do is look at my calendar and I have appointments. So I know whom I'm on the LinkedIn, on Facebook, and different other platforms. And I have some marketing in place, strategically targeting certain people. And if they're interested, they'll go ahead and schedule a call. You know, so that allowed me to scale really quickly. But also, you know, constantly putting out education. You know, when I put out an educational post, you see it gets 500 to 600 comments. You know, so I know my audience really well. You know, that's the thing. Whenever you're in business for a specific person, right? If you don't know that client, you'll never get them to come to you. I'm looking to attract my client. I'm not looking to chase them and make them feel like I'm a snake oil salesman. You see what I'm saying? I'm leading with value. I'm leading with education, because my core values, my first one is value and education first. I'm going to give you something, consistently. And then and only then I will ask you to make a commitment in yourself, because everything I do is all about empowering my potential client. So those are the things that allowed me to scale quickly. One, I know how to sell. I told you that ever since, I have 15 plus years in sales. I know marketing and I know branding. So those three skills combined, I couple them together and they allow me to be successful, because I got to get your attention. I got to get you to get on the phone with me or get on a Zoom with me or come to my office. And then while you're there, I have to show you value in what I bring to the table. And I can't show you value unless I understand who you are and what you want. It's not about the product or the service. It's about how we can achieve the level of success that you want together, because it's all about you. The product that you can go anywhere and find similar products. So, but how can we achieve what you want together? And that's really what's allowed me to grow my team so rapidly. And of course, my brand, my personal brand, I'm always investing in that. As you can see, New York Finance Magazine just named me one of the top 15 entrepreneurs, to watch for, with people like Grant Cardone and Ty Lopez and, a couple of big sort of quote unquote influencers. So my name, on the side of their name, that's going to lift my personal brand up. So it's going to make it a lot easier for me to have certain conversations when I go in certain rooms.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats,
and that's
congrats.
I got a couple other things that's coming out that I can't reveal just yet, but just know they're bigger than that. So, but you'll be the first to know.
I will wait for that call.
So what do you sell with Grand Ver Financials?
So we got to make sure that you protect it on the front end and you don't run out of money on the back end when you retire. Anything in between that, we got it. So, I don't necessarily want to talk about products and services. I want to talk about the fact that I can sell you, what I sell is financial success, and we lead with the truth. I debunk everything that the, other financial institutions don't want you to know. I'm going to give it all to you, because as you know, you see the type of stuff that I put out, and I get tarred and stoned and feathered for when I put it out there. But I don't speak unless I have facts. So
and the financial side is something that a lot of us don't really know. Unless you specialize in, went to school or taken some courses in finance, financial literacy. When you start a business, you may know, your product, your services. You don't know that financial side. You know what I mean?
And even if you take courses, you still have to implement what you learn. A lot of the times it's taking action and having that discipline to know that these little things over time are going to pay big for you. Oftentimes with anything, whether you're working out, you getting your money right, you're trying to build a relationship with someone, it's like planting a tree. You got to plant the seed first. You're not going to see the seed come out of the ground right away, but you still have to water it, right? Eventually, the seed will sprout and be a plant, right? You still have to take care of that plant. But that on down the line, that plant will be a tree. Do you have to take care of that tree? No, but that tree will take care of you. It will bear fruit. It will give you shade, and it will make sure that you're protected through every season, right? But you have to get it to the point where it's a tree. And we don't see it through a lot of the time. So a lot of the times it's just, making sure that we know what we need to do. But most people don't have a financial game plan. They don't get financially educated, and they definitely don't have a financial coach. They get a coach for everything else, but they won't go talk to someone about their money. You see what I'm saying? Money is that one thing that we get that doesn't come with an instruction manual. Everything else comes with an instruction manual except money. But we spend $3 billion every year, right? As a matter of fact, during the pandemic, we spent more money during the holidays than we did the previous year. So it's not a lack of getting the money, and it's knowing what to do with it when you get it, and how to keep it.
So that's the services that your financial services that you offer. You offer financial coaching.
Yeah. So if you text that number that's on the bottom, I don't know if I don't see it. I don't know if it's scrolling or not, but my number is on there. If you text that number, uh, I will get you with my team and we will do a free financial needs analysis for you. If you go to Charles Schwab or those big companies, oftentimes they might charge you $1,500 for that. We will do it for free for you. And that's just going to be a full financial breakdown of where you are, what you need to have, in every aspect of your financial life. And it'll be a printout that you can keep so you can look over it with your spouse or whoever, you want. And it's completely complimentary. And it will, that machine will, once we start plugging those numbers into the system, it'll tell you what you need to do, based on where you want to be. So if I'm not recommending anything. I'm going to ask you where you want to be. We're going to plug it into a system, and that system will tell you step by step where you need to go. So you'll have it on paper. And if you don't act on it, that's on you. But I gave you the blueprint.
So in addition to real estate and financial services, you're also a business consultant. What is your business consulting firm called?
So that's definitely something that I'm about to rebrand. I'm toying with a couple names, but right now, I have a program called Mastery to the Masses, where we basically say, for instance, Joci comes to me and she has an idea that she wants to scale. I help you scale it quickly and help you work 30 to 50% less by some of the things that I have in place for you. So say, for instance, you're a coach or a consultant. I help you get your branding right. I help you, ensure that you get your first customer quickly. I help you ensure that once you have your offering in place and you get to the point where you can have a marketing budget, we can, fine tune that marketing machine quickly with the right audience so that you're profitable from day one. In addition to that, I help you come up with your courses and, all your educational material, because as you know, I believe in giving first. So we got to give somebody something for them to even want to talk to you, right? So what are you going to give? Then when you get them in your system and they give up that email or what have you for what you want to give, what you're going to give them, then how do we keep that conversation going to get them to the point where they can become your client, short or long term? But branding, marketing, sales, those three things are all tied into that.
So of your three paths, go ahead, T.
How do you find the right audience? Like your target audience? What's the best way to find them? Like, is it you and whatever you want it to be, or is it who is attracted to you?
It is situational. So I always ask my clients, who is your who is your target audience? Oftentimes, we know who our target audience is, but we're not doing business with them, right? And we see this a lot in the Black community. You may want to reach somebody that's a little more affluent, but you're dealing with somebody else just because, you need the money, the quick money, even though this person really can't afford your services and you're undervaluing yourself. So basically, I help increase the value of everyone around me. Like I said, earlier, so, like with me, my personal audience is, it's a woman or a man between the ages of 25 to 45, and if I'm doing direct mail, like if I'm sending something to their house, I can get a little more granular because I have their household income, I have their occupation, I have their spending habits, so I can get all that from the post office. But if I'm on social media, and I'm giving y'all this game for free that people charge you money for, by the way, we can go in the Facebook ad manager and say, hey, I want to, target this person that likes Grant Cardone, and then layer it with someone else and is also interested in, finance and entrepreneurship, and then layer it with they live in the United States, and that's going to start building an audience for you. And then based off that, you can start. It's all about testing, by the way. So it's not perfect on the front end. We tested over, probably $500,000 to $1 million just in marketing, just to make sure that we understand this stuff. So it's a never-ending game. Like as it stands right now, Apple is making some changes that's probably gonna make it a little harder to target. We don't know how true that is, but we gotta be prepared for whatever. So I always tell my clients, you need to build your own audience outside of what social media does. So build your email list. Now, you got things like Community, which allow you to build a text application where you have these people's phone numbers. And as you know, if I text you, you're probably going to answer that. You're probably going to open the text quicker than you would an email. So I'm always getting my clients to see the value in building their own audiences, because there's no, even if you have a million emails and 10% of the people open it, and let's say 1% of those 10% buy, you still got a nice payday.
Right. Because even with the emailing, which we have to shift with the times, but even with emailing, sometimes those go to people's junk files.
Absolutely.
And as I'm learning in this Melanated N Business path, I'm realizing that as large or as small or professional many businesses profess themselves to be, a lot of people don't read their emails.
No, I'm one of them. If you send it to my Gmail, it gets lost.
Like, this is your company email address that you said to contact you at. Mm-hmm. You have not opened this. It's been 3 weeks.
I read my company. I don't read my personal email as often, though. And as you know, like Google, they have different inboxes now, so they don't move everything to your main inbox. So it might be in the promotions folder or the updates folder or the social folder or something like that, and it won't show. You won't even get a notification right away.
So that texting, even if I open the text and text you back, stop, I still open that text.
But you see me though,
and it's still there. Yep.
Right. And then you got to know your audience. I'm not going to text you with a bunch of promotional stuff. I'm probably going to empower you. I'm going to give you some tips on finance, business. When you wake up, I want you to see a text from me saying, hey, crush the day. You got this, something like that. You're not going to tell me to stop if I do that.
Right.
Now, if I'm trying to sell you something all the time, that's a different story. So I would say 80 to 90% of what you do should inspire, empower, or educate your people. And then, it's a lot easier when you've been given to them to allow, then and only then they'll want to come back to you and say, you know what, he got this course out. Let me check it out. Or he's got this event coming up. I may buy a ticket. I got a lot of value from this guy. I've been reading his blog. He's been empowering me throughout my day. He gave me these free documents. I watch his podcast or whatever. I trust him now because I feel like I know enough about this person to actually go ahead and make that purchase.
So of your 3 paths, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you like just love? Like you like, man, I could do this one all day.
It's hard. It's like choosing a perfect baby, right? Because my business is people. So if I had to choose one right now, it would be the financial space because, most of us are living paycheck to paycheck. Household credit card debt is at an all-time high. Most people, can't even touch $1,000 if they had an emergency. So that has a bigger impact than actual. Most people aren't going to be business owners, and most businesses fail within the first 1 to 5 years. But I can touch a lot more people individually, and I can touch a lot more households, especially our people that are, in the 25 to 30 range that are really getting their life going. That's the perfect time for me and my people to get in front of them and educate them. And if they see that frequently and consistently, they'll break those generational curses and they'll do the right things, because a lot of the times we think that stuff is complex. And it's just because, like you said, we hadn't really been educated on it. But if you start now, especially if you got a child, by the time they get 18, if you do the right things with a small investment, they should be straight. By the time you turn 65, 70 and you get, or whatever age you want to retire, I want you to be able to say, you know what, I got the freedom to not ever have to work again if I don't want to, because I got X amount of dollars in the bank or X amount of dollars put up, and I can live off of X amount of dollars a year for the rest of my life. So I would say that's priority right now.
So what do you look for in your agents?
They have to be a CEO caliber self-starter. I'm not, I love people, but I'm very direct and I'm very, once you jump in, I shouldn't have to babysit you. You chose this path because you saw value in it yourself. If you're not taking the necessary steps to do what is right for yourself, for your clients, then that this is not for you. So if you're a CEO caliber individual that doesn't mind putting in some work in the beginning so that on the back end you get a big payout and lifelong ownership and residual income and get the opportunity to build your own business out of this, then this is not for you. But the biggest issue I have is one out of five people quit right away. That's just the way life works. I can't change that. I'm not going to change that. What I'm gonna focus on is those 20%, that really get it, and I'm gonna pour my time into them, and I'm gonna bring them up with me wherever I go. You will see my agents from time to time when I do other podcasts and they're in person. I request in my rider that they can come with me because eventually this is gonna be their thing. If I have an event that's coming up and I'm getting paid to speak for it, I request that they can fly with me, and I make sure that they have a room as well because I want them to be exposed to this. I want them to have their own personal brand so that people can trust them just as much as they trust me. But it starts with you being a self-starter, you being, a CEO-minded person. If you have an employee mindset, you can be my customer. But if you are a CEO caliber, individual, let's talk.
So in 2019, you did a TED Talk, right?
I did.
What was that like?
Man, that was a crazy experience. It was nothing like I've experienced before. I do a lot of speaking engagements, but that was different because it wasn't a speaking engagement. It was a talk. I actually had to prepare for that. I did it in May. We started rehearsing in December. So for 4 months or so, 2 weekends out the month, I'm practicing this and they were ripping it apart in front of me, in front of audiences that I never met before, critiquing me, and it starts out with, you just write a little line on a piece of paper. They critique that. Then you create a rough draft, and then they critique that. And then you put your actual talk together. It's not a speech, because their whole theme is ideas worth spreading, so that's the reason why it was structured the way it was. And my biggest thing was I'm coming at it from just my lens. I had to look at the fact that a 50 or 60-year-old white man that can't relate to me was going to be there. So I had to make sure that my message resonated with him too. So I had to go and do some research and find statistics on how my particular topic affected where they come from as well. And it was a very fulfilling event. Actually, it wasn't a thing that I was like, I got to do a TED Talk. I was on a podcast with someone. This lady just happened to be the person that puts the entire event together. We had lunch we had coffee maybe 2 weeks after that. And she was telling me, she was talking to me about some business stuff. And she said, if you were to do a TED Talk, what would it be on? And of course, my first thing was finance. She was like, there's so many financial TED Talks out. What else? So, of course, I put myself back into that 17-year-old kid that was in a gang and, wilding out in the streets. What would I say to him, or what would I say to the people that I want to influence him? And of course, that's when it led to the mentorship aspect of things. I feel like it's not enough of us that go back into these neighborhoods and pour back into, our youth, and as a result, they're being mentored by the bad influences and what they see on TV and what they hear on the radio.
Which is not real.
Absolutely not. But when you're a kid, that's when you're most impressionable, and companies prey on that.
That's cool. And so that kind of led you into all of your community activism that you do.
Well, I was already doing that. That just kind of put a light on it, or a bigger light on it. I'm one of those people that I like to serve and I don't like to show off about it, because if I'm serving, like for 2 years straight, a lot of people don't even notice. I was at a women's shelter, Tuesdays and Thursdays, consistently. And you can ask people around Birmingham because I've invited them to come speak to these ladies. On Tuesdays, I'm giving them tips on how to find a job, how to build a business. On Thursdays, it was strictly financial. I'm teaching them how to structure their finances. If I didn't have the answer, I would bring in an accountant. I brought lawyers in. I brought everyone you could think of that that you could think of. I brought them in and got in front of these ladies. Not because of the pandemic, of course. We had to stop that. But when they reopen, you better believe I'll be there. And if I'm not physically there like I need to be, I'm gonna make sure they still have something. But you will never see that on camera because again, I'm not trying to prey on them. I know how to build my own self up without having to use someone else.
Right. Which is we're in this social media attention thing. I don't know what to call it. It's like everybody wants you to know what they do, and it's seeking some form of validation for their behaviors or their accomplishments or what they don't do or what they do and what they try not to do and how often they do it. And it's like, just do.
Right. So
like if you just do, somebody's gonna see it. You know what I mean? I don't have to tell you, hey, guess what I did today? I saved somebody from a burning building. Just say, did you save them because you want to tell people you saved them, or did you save them because that's what you felt the need to do? I think that sometimes social media and just the world or state that we're in right now, it's created this need for to know, like everything is, you have to know, everybody has to know what you do. And when I was growing up, it was kind of like, don't nobody need to know your business.
Right. And that's the world I come from. Remember, I'm from the street. Like, let's be real. Like the less noise you make, the better off you were. And you already stand out a little bit because I'm lighter than most. You know what I mean? And back then I had long hair, so I tried to make sure that I wasn't making no noise. But of course, that's a thing that I struggle with because to be honest, if you have the right social media following, you can grow your business in a certain way too. And a lot of other opportunities come to you because of that. But again, it's just all in how you use it. There are ways to get attention, but what type of attention are you seeking? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what it's all about. Are you saving a man from a burning building because you're a firefighter and there's a message behind this, this particular person you saved? Or is it just because you wanted to show the world, you wanted the world to give you a bunch of likes? What you going to do when they remove the likes from social media because it's coming? Instagram is already testing it.
So getting into, let's get into life, right? You live in Alabama.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like Alabama don't look like Atlanta. You know what I mean? What is that like? You know what I mean? What is that like being a man of color and growing and building himself and his brand in Alabama?
So being a man of color and also being Hispanic in a place where if you say you from Panama, they think you from Panama City, Florida.
Come on now. When I tell you I've had this conversation with so many people.
So that's one thing. But you got to think about it. This is the birth of the civil rights. You only know black and white. And the people that are used to controlling certain things that are up here in age, they can't relate because they're not in tune with what's going on anymore. The only time I think I really experienced racism though was back in the day when I was working with that alarm company, and I told you, but back then I still had braids. I still, that was back when the baggy clothes were in. So I'm going in these people's house, with a big polo shirt and some big jeans, and so of course somebody took offense to that one time. But the guy that owned the company, he was a white man. He stood up for me, so he's like my brother for life. Matter of fact, we just reconnected recently and had dinner in Huntsville. So he's. But I've always had a way with people. So For some reason, even if I get pulled over, I've always had good interactions with everyone. You know what I mean? To the point where like I make friends out of the people, even out of bad situations. So I don't necessarily. The only thing with Birmingham is just a siloed city. So if you're not a part of certain cliques or certain, social groups, you wouldn't even know certain things are going on. So that's just the only thing. Now, granted, if I didn't have kids, would I be here? More than likely not. Because think about it. As much as I travel, I still got to fly to Atlanta every time I want to catch a connecting flight. I would be in a city that's more central where I can get to where I want to get to quicker. And that's just me being more efficient. Remember, we talked about saving time, being efficient. That would be it. But my kids are getting older, so I don't know if I'll be in Alabama forever. You know what I mean? But I've made it work. It made me who I am today. It's not one of those cities where opportunity just, you walk out the house and, it's opportunity out there. You got to go find it. And I think because I'm not from here, I look at the city a little different because when I came, ever since I've been here, it's been growing, but most people, I'm not gonna say most people, a lot of people that are from here, they're like, oh, I hate this place, ain't nothing to do, this, that, and the third. And I don't have that issue, because again, I can get creative and I got a contact list longer than the tallest building in Birmingham. I can always find something to do.
So was it hard, growing up in Panama and then moving to the United States and having to adjust and, you speak Spanish and then you move to, like, one of the things when I used to live in Alabama is that everybody thinks if you are Hispanic that you're Mexican.
Right.
And it's like, who taught you that? You know what I mean? And even when I moved to Atlanta, people would be like, oh, you Mexican. Oh, they Mexican. It's like, everybody who speaks Spanish is not from Mexico.
Right. And as a matter of fact, Mexico is like one of those countries that has their own dialect of Spanish, and they kind of isolated from everybody else, but they don't know that because, of course, the culture here is civil rights, heavily on what happened back in the day, whereas in other bigger cities, you got immigrants from everywhere that came and congregated and grew communities, like in New York. So to answer your question, when I came from Panama, I was a kid. So it wasn't hard adjusting. I just had to go to school and find friends and I was good. The hardest adjustment was when I moved as a teenager from New York to Alabama. I went from a fast environment, again, I can take the train and be where I wanted to be. Whereas here, I couldn't even I don't even have a corner store. Like the corner store was miles away from me, So it was just a slower lifestyle. I'm used to taking 8 classes a day. Here you take 4, so I'm sitting in the classroom longer than I'm used to. You got to wear uniforms and this, that, and the third. So it was just one of those things that took a little adjusting, but it was for the better because I'll tell you this, one of my best friends, he's doing life in prison right now for murder. So there's no telling where I would be if I was still up there.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you feel like your life would have taken the same path had you stayed in New York?
Absolutely no. I'll probably be a different person. I was on the verge of not even graduating from high school when I was up there. I had just completely stopped going to school.
So when you moved to Alabama, I know you said it was a total difference. What, were you miserable, and how did you move past that difference?
Oh, of course I was miserable. I didn't want to come here, I moved in the summertime too, so I didn't know nobody. I'm at home with my mom. It was just me, my mom, and her husband, So, but what it did do, I had to get creative. I could draw. I started back drawing. I got a little more creative with the things that I did around the house. It gave me a chance to connect with my family more. So it was all for the good. Of course I was miserable. And then you got to think about it. I'm a New Yorker. I'm very aggressive moving here. I dress different. I speak different. I think everybody that had an accent was country. You know, then when I went to school, it's like that's how y'all really, So it was just an adjustment. But of course, that's me judging the place from where I came from. Of course, growing up in Brooklyn and New York, you move a certain way because it's chaos all day long. You leave the house, it's a million people on your block. You're not talking to nobody because you don't know if they're gonna try to rob you. You know, you don't know what's gonna happen. You trying to make sure that you don't miss your train. So it's like you running all day long. It wasn't until I was removed from that environment and then I went back and I was like, wow, yo, people are really like miserable here. But they live longer because they walk all day long. That's all. It's a benefit to that too.
Them New York blocks is long, boy.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not just the New York blocks. You might have the train might be 10 blocks away that you got to catch, and then might have to get off the train and walk to a bus stop and catch a bus to where you want to get to, and then walk another 4 blocks to get to where you had to get to.
That's a lot of walking.
But when you're there, you don't even think about it.
Right, because it's what you're used to.
Right. Now you see people Ubering just for a block away. You got the Uber pool, hop in the Uber pool and you go where you go.
So do you plan on expanding your brand to your native country?
It's already there.
So what do you have? Come on, now give it to us.
We got some real estate there. I got some family there that see with financial services, that's a whole different legal ball game. So not necessarily that, but definitely the real estate empire is there because of course I got family there. They use the American dollar. It goes a longer way there. So we can grab up real estate real cheap. I can make sure my family, across the water, they got everything they need, and it's ours. So it's a hard asset that we can flip many ways. My cousin and I just started a cell phone business out there, so he's running that, and it's doing really well. When he comes back this way, we'll put somebody else on to run it. So we doing a couple things.
That's
a couple things that I talk to you off the record.
That's what's up. So are your daughters? Have you incorporated them into your different businesses, or they like on a whole different path?
My youngest is more so than my oldest. So one thing I never tried to do is force what I do on my kids. I let them do them. So my oldest is into, now she's into like more business, but before, she was into more creative stuff. So she wanted to be in photography, art. She was a dance girl. But now as she's getting older, she finally had a job once, and it took for her to see that, having a job is not going to be where it's at. So now she's like more in tune with what I do. My youngest though has always been in tune. She'll come to the office with me. She'll sit in front of the computer. Even at 9 and 10 years old, she was doing spreadsheets. She was doing callbacks for me. She's gone to board events with me, and people love her. They ask when she can come back. She definitely has that people skill, and I just want to cultivate that and make sure that we tap into that the right way as she gets older, because she's definitely charismatic and she knows how to control the room. So that's a skill. Whereas my older, she's a little more nonchalant. She's like, I really don't care about that. Like, why am I here? But she could be more behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Right. Which is always good. You need people in the front, you need people in the back. So
yeah. So if you got kids, don't let school take their creativity from them. Don't just let them go home and do their homework and not do nothing for themselves. If you got kids and you want them to learn how to read certain things, pay them to read those books and then make them tell you what they learned from that book and then start applying it. One of the things, everyone starts out as a creator, right? Until the creator is pulled out of them. And that's because we sit in school all day long, learning some stuff and being programmed to take orders for the rest of our lives. If you look at the history of why the school systems were created, they were created to keep a pipeline full of people to be employees.
Exactly.
You don't need to go to school to build a business, right? Let's just be real. But if you want to train someone to take orders for the rest of their lives, you condition them to do that from early. Remember how many kids are amazing artists through their youth, and when they get older, they just stop drawing and they pick up a regular job, and then before you know it, all they're focusing is that 9 to 5 and living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
But if you really tap into your artistry, you can be doing something you love and getting paid for it more than that 9 to 5. I seen a painting that was sold for $40 million. It only had 2 colors on it. So you see what I'm saying?
I need to learn how to paint.
Right. But the point is, if you have kids, especially the kids that are getting into those teenage years, you don't just let them do schoolwork. Empower them to do something for themselves so that they can grow up and learn how to do things for themselves as they get older and not depend on that 9 to 5 paycheck.
I would have to agree. Because you have to let them choose their path.
Absolutely. And then, of course, if you want them to do something you want them to do, money always works, right? So again, you want them to read Rich Dad Poor Dad for teens, and they're probably not even interested in that. Give them $100. Set a deadline. They'll read it. I guarantee you they'll read it.
And even if they don't like it, later on in life, they'll remember. I read that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's one of those things. And if you had a business, you can talk to your accountant and figure out how you can pay them their allowance through your business and write that off. Again, I'm not your tax attorney. These are just things that work for me. I don't know what state you're in. That's why I said go advise with the tax attorney or an accountant or someone well-versed in your state.
That disclaimer you give reminds me of, remember back in the day, the medical commercial would come on, and at the end they would start talking real fast about all the stuff that'd be wrong with you if you take the medication. Oh, yeah. He'd be like, so you should do this with your children, but just let you know that if you should get your
yeah, but you just got to put that out there, because I got to make sure I protect everybody's brand that's involved in this,
right?
Because you never know. You can say, Joci can say she loves her mom. Somebody will spin it and say you hate your dad.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You can ask a question about you. Somebody's gonna make it about them. That's just the world we live in.
This is true.
Yeah.
Do you have any more questions, T?
I have one question.
Talk to me.
What is your favorite book?
Ooh, I have a favorite book in so many genres. But if I had to tell you to read one book in its simplest form, let's see, it would have to be. So if you study human psychology, you'll never go wrong. If you understand how people make decisions, that's going to pay you in so many ways in life, in your relationship, in your business, in your parenting, how you deal with your friends and family. So I would say read a book. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And the basis of the book is, if you want to catch a fish, you got to understand what that fish wants so that it can bite the reel. And that's how I approach life. If I want to get the attention of Joci or TaWanda with the T, I got to understand them. I'm not going to say I want. You're going to look at me be like, okay, but you want something from me, but you're telling me what you want. Mm-hmm. No, I got to first figure out what it is that how I can add value to you. And then and only then you're going to be like, well, what can I do for you?
Yeah. That I think that's where the disconnect happens between men and women in relationships, but that's a whole nother show.
Oh yeah, I've been getting roped into those conversations, and I don't even be wanting to, but I be getting pulled in those conversations, and that's the basis of it too. Even with that, like if you want a certain type of man, you got to first understand what that man wants and what attracts that man. You saying I'm gonna get him by doing this and doing that is not gonna get it, and vice versa. You want a certain type of woman, and you're not You don't understand the mindset of that woman and what it takes to get her, and you coming in entitled, you're gonna come up short every time.
Every time.
So
Every time.
but it's so many other variables that play into that, Joci. It's not even just that, because we fought for equality and feminism, and that gave us the right of choice. It made the world even, but at the same time, life ain't fair. You know what I mean? So when we fight for one thing, you lose balance somewhere else. So, and I'm gonna leave you with this. Did you know that look it up? If you go into a business partnership with someone, never go into it in a 50-50 partnership. A lot of those fail. Look it up. This is documented. And there's many people that tell you why you shouldn't do a 50-50 partnership. Somebody should always have greater range. You should, like with me, I'm going to give you a percentage or I'm going to pay you a certain way. But you're not going to be 50-50 partners with me in none of my ventures. And even if I invest in your business, if I'm investing, I'm either going to be a majority partner where I got 51 or better, or I'm gonna be, a small investor where I'm just getting a piece of equity stake in the business, right? But the reason they fail is because everybody feels like they're equal, and because I get half a say, so I want my voice to be heard this way, and that person, and it just causes friction. So I say that to say, even with like relationships now. Everybody wants to go 50-50, but we're not designed to go 50-50. The reason my grandma and them was happy is because granddaddy controlled the bread, even though, he brought the bread and grandma controlled it. But he know if he left, he losing everything. And grandma knew if she left him, ain't nobody going to take care of him and them 5 kids like he was. So we all had something to lose, right? And when you got something to lose, you think twice, you figure it out. We don't think like that now. In business and in life.
Right. Everybody wants to be equal. Everybody wants to be like equivalent. I'm just as smart as you, and I'm just as this, and it's like, well, if we mirror each other, then I have no purpose for you. We should complement each other.
Absolutely.
Meaning what I lack, you should have. You know what Absolutely. I mean? And what I have, you should need. But if I am exactly like you, then why do I need a you?
Bingo. I hire to my weaknesses, and I empower those people to go out and do their job well. I just need to know enough about the position or the skill set to understand what they're doing. I'm not trying to come in and dominate. You see what I'm saying? I let you run with it. Once you give me the vision and it's in line with my main vision, you got free range. As long as when I get that report back and me and you meet, it's all copacetic and the numbers add up, you good to go. And as long as you're not mistreating people, we good to go. Because I've fired and I've gotten rid of some of my top performers because of their attitude. And I found when I got rid of them, even though they were my top performer, my other people started performing better just because they were cancers to the organization. So a lot of the times it doesn't matter about your skill set, but more importantly, how you treat others and, how you make others feel when they're around you. That's more valuable than you putting up a couple numbers on a scoreboard. I don't care about your degree. I don't care about your level of education. How you treat the people that we're trying to serve. How important is it for you to be on that path with me? Then we could talk.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. All of you're very knowledgeable of all of your business paths. Sometimes we take paths and, someone may know a lot more about this than a little bit, but you are extremely knowledgeable of all paths that you are on. So congratulations. I wish you the best, increase in your endeavors. For all of our viewers tuning in, where can they find you?
You can just search my name, just Gilberto Herrera on all social medias. My website is gilbertoherrera.com. As you can see that link down there, sociotab.com. It has all my info on there, from my phone number to my media links. If you want to schedule a consultation with me for your business, it's all on there. So yeah, I'm not hard to find. And like I said, I got So I'm gonna share something with you, Joci, and this is gonna be exclusive. So
exclusive.
So I just signed a deal to take acting lessons from someone that has taught the likes of like Denzel and all your A-list celebrities.
All right, now, Ghost. I'm playing.
So that's another thing that I'm gonna add to my repertoire. And then
don't forget the people who used to
never. Remember, you used to pull up on me and Hoover with the jar cakes.
You know what I'm saying? And don't forget little old me. You know what I'm saying?
Never. Yeah, you know. And listen, Joci sitting over there on so many skill sets. We're gonna pull them out of her.
Pulling them out. You know, I'm kind of like you. You know what I mean? I like to play the background.
Right, but you got so many. You know, I know you personally, so I know you got many skill sets over there. And you know, when you get in your bag, you can be a leader. I've seen you in action, so you know, I appreciate y'all having me. And look, this is dope. You know, I'm gonna continue to support. You know, once you get your sponsorship package in place, send it to me. You know, I'll definitely see what we can do on that end as well. And anything I can do for both of you, you know, I'm always available. Y'all got my information. And hey, listen, keep winning, you know, because this is fire. We need more of this.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. And on that note, we are going to check us out every Thursday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Melanated N Business, where we highlight and spotlight all Black and brown businesses for the upliftment of our community, for our community. If you know someone, T, you got the email ready? Because I'm about to spit it. You ready?
No.
Well,
well, get it ready. Now I'm gonna talk a little longer so you can get it ready. If you know someone, someone who has a business you would like to recommend to be featured on our show, please send me their information at justjoci@melanatedninbusiness.com, and we will definitely look them up, review them, and send out all information and have them on our show because we want to spread the word. We are nationwide, a couple other countries. You know, we invite everyone to come over and be here and just spread all of this Black and brown love in the community. And on that note, we will see you all next week. Make sure wait, I have a quick announcement. Make sure you get your tickets on April 19th for the We Are Family Financial Literacy event, where we are having none other than our guest as one of our speakers who will go in depth about financial literacy and creating generational wealth amongst your children and your family. He's going to get into he didn't even get into like investments and IRAs and and I tell y'all, he know what he knows. So you want to make sure that you get your tickets. It's only $20 donation to Young Ladies of Vision nonprofit organization. So you get to help the community, you get to help some teenage girls, and you get to increase your knowledge and educate yourself to grow and build your family. So you can open up a couple cell phone companies, you know, over in Puerto Rico or Jamaica or wherever, you know what I'm saying? So make sure you do that. And on that note, we will see you all next week, same place, same time. You all have a wonderful weekend, and I am out. We are out.
Peace.
Bye.
Oh.